And when I say preconceived notions and ideas, I'm talking about the things that we think we know that we really know absolutely nothing about. One of the things that was very, very hilarious to me years ago when I was starting in the space of empowerment and leadership development, I had written a piece, and it was being posted on social media. It was on a pretty large platform where the information was posted. And so, this person had responded to the article and said, I don't need any of that. I already have a good life. And so, I said, okay, I understand. Thank you. And, you have a great day, or something to the effect of that. But, after that exchange of words, I began to think about it. And I began to say that it's very, very dangerous to get to a point in your life where you say, I'm good. I don't need to learn anything else. I don't need to know anything else. I don't need any more information. In essence, what you've done is you have stunted your growth and your development, and you've done it by saying you've learned all there is to know. Well, let me break it down in a more simplistic terminology. I mean, the library is filled with an abundance of information, more information than our human brain, our human psyche has the ability to process at even 1 per second. And to say that you know everything, you're at a good place in your life, is just a very, very selfish statement to make. It is a person that has totally closed the door to growth and development in their life. And so I believe with all of my heart that humanity is in a constant state of evolution and growth. And anything that does not evolve and grows dies. And so to ever make a statement like that, no matter what stage of life you're in, is to ultimately make a prophetic prognostication that you have learned all there is to know and that there is no room for growth or development in your life. And this is a very, very, very dangerous statement to make. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about preconceived notions and ideas. There are people that will tune out a message before they even listen to it. I already know about that. I don't need to know that. But what we don't understand is that even if it is a piece of information that we've heard before, there are layers to learning. And so you may have learned a concept on one level, but there's something else you can implement, and you can take your understanding of that concept to a whole different level and produce a whole different result in your life. But the reality is that if you're going to be a person of progress, if you're going to be a person that is fulfilling your prophetic destiny and doing something meaningful in your life, you don't want to be a person with preconceived notions and ideas. You have to train yourself. I was honored by Huffington Post as an icon next years ago, and when they gave me that honor, I wrote about the key to my success has been being a lifelong learner. There's always something to learn. I'm always reading. I'm always growing. I'm always talking with people and learning what I can learn. Why? Because I want to be the best version of myself, and I want to maximize my potential. And I know in order to do that, I have to stay open to learning and gaining new information. And so you never want to come in with preconceived notions and ideas, because that's a major blind spot to your success, to your momentum, to your prosperity in life. And then another blind spot that I want to talk about is the blind spot of pride. Pride is an ugly monster. And pride has destroyed more people than you could ever imagine. Pride is one of those things that we have to guard aggressively again in our lives. I noticed that I did not say that you should not feel good about yourself. There should be a sense of pride, and dignity is really the word that I like to use. You should have a sense of dignity about yourself and who you are and who God has created you to be. But there's a fine line between dignity and self-worth and pride. And so pride is ultimately this monster. that wants to exalt itself in our lives and ultimately rob us of greatness and destiny and reaching our full potential. Pride causes an individual to buy into a narrative that they are better than everybody else. They are greater than everybody else. They are on a different level than everybody else. And more importantly, the thing that brings the greatest stench to my nostril about pride is it gives a person the impression that everybody else is beneath them. And so anytime you see symptoms and attributes of pride trying to creep into your life, that's something that you need to attack aggressively in that moment and come against it, because what the world does not need is another prideful, egotistical leader. In my book, Chosen, I talk about pride and how pride not only cripples potential, but it corrupts the power of a leader. And one thing I have seen over the last few decades is I've seen what pride can do to a leader. I've seen how it can corrupt and destroy a leader. And what we don't understand is that leadership is a privilege and not a right. And so we think because we ascend into the great heights of success and prosperity and notoriety in life, we begin to buy into the notion that we did this, not realizing that leadership is a privilege and that we are been privileged to be placed in this position of power and authority to lead and manage and direct organizations and nations and individuals, and that we should never get it twisted that this is our own doing or our own merit. And so I think one of the ways that you guard against pride is to maintain a state of humility. Now, I have to say this, humility is not allowing people or life to walk over you as if you are a doormat, but humility is walking with such a level of, the word I'm looking for, humility is walking with such a sense of gratitude for where you are in life and for the things that you have in your life. That's a good way to say it. Humility is walking through life with such a sense of gratitude about life and what you have in your life. Somebody was asking me a question about success years ago, and this is what I told them. Everything I am and everything I think I have achieved is by the grace of God. And so if you live with that philosophy that whatever you have, whatever you think you have accomplished, whatever you think you have accumulated in your life, is only because of the grace of God, you will walk through life with a greater sense of humility, and you will realize that leadership is a privilege. This is an honor that I get to walk in, and this is not something that I should begin to take for granted. This is not an opportunity for me to abuse my position or to abuse the people that serve me and help me. But leadership is ultimately about service. It's about serving humanity and serving humanity from a place of humility. And so one of the blind spots that hinders so many people in their lives is this blind spot of pride. You have to deal with pride. There's a big difference between self-worth and dignity and pride. And so when we see those attributes begin to operate in our lives, we have to begin to address them, because that's something that has the ability to derail us as a leader and to hinder us from growth, development, progress, and all those things that we desperately want to see in our lives. So that's another blind spot that we have to watch out for. And then I want to turn my attention to this one as well. We've dealt with preconceived notions and ideas. We've dealt with pride. Now I want to deal with this whole quality of self-deception. If you've read my book, Chosen, I talk about in great detail this self-deception principle. There is no deception greater than self-deception, and it was one of the philosophers that said, "To thy own self be true." We live in a society of people that has attempted to engineer and redefine what truth is. We live in an era where many people say, live your truth, or your truth, this is your truth, or